Good evening. How do you do, everybody? It was quite a day. I'm glad to be at the end of it. Thanks so much for your patience. And as a lot of you know, there's nothing to worry about. It was just a really unusual morning. But we got through it. So just like every tough day that we have, we find a way to make it to the end of it. Everybody's resting up, and we should have a pretty good day tomorrow, one day at a time. Again, I apologize that the schedule changed, and we're doing it now at 11 p.m. Instead of earlier in the day. But that's the way things. I had to take Leo out, and when the schedule changed rapidly like that, and everything else that's going in my mind, like when we came back from the United States, the jet lag was pretty bad. Leo was waking up at 3:30. 3:50 in the morning the second day, and we weren't getting a lot of sleep. We coupled that up with the heat, and then trying to catch up on work. Actually, I think Kanai's been a lot busier than I have, so it's completely understandable, and I'm just glad that it wasn't anything worse than what it was. So with that, I'm also going to try to keep it down because now people are asleep, so I'm in the other room. Anyways, we got a bunch of questions here. I'm okay. I've been up a lot working on this episode. It's pretty much done. Actually, Peter's been helping me with the thumbnail, with his suggestions. We got this here. I was hoping to upload this tonight. Maybe I'll get there. I don't know if I'm going to be sleeping, but I have to take Leo tomorrow morning to school. So I might go to, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this uploaded today, but it's got to go out tomorrow. It should have gone out yesterday, but this is the way that the things, sometimes you got to roll with it, a lot of stuff that's happening here. One of the things, these Patreon Q&A is a good chance for, I know I should get some sleep, but I'll sleep a lot better if we can finish our Q&A. So we'll keep the Q&A short. I only got 6 questions here, and anybody who's live can ask me the questions as well. We'll work through the questions here, and there's some good ones here. So Catherine's been with us for a very long time. It's nice to hear from you, Catherine. I'll be in Japan in October and wanted to see Nishio when I am in Kyoto and have a free day. The travel agent wasn't able to find a tour guide. Best to wait till I have more time to go to Nishio? Maybe. I think for Nishio, that's a good question. I think it's a little bit off of the beaten path. I mean, it's sort of on the Shinkansen line. You have to get to Mikawa Anjo, or actually, from Hamamatsucho, I rented a car and I drove to Nishio. But the closest Shinkansen stop is Mikawa Anjo, I believe it's what it's called, and then you take the train to get to Nishio, and then there, a guide is really nice. I don't know if you have a chance to stay at the guest house, but I mean, there's a lot of really nice places in Japan. Nishio isn't the only place, and that's one place that I featured for sure. A lot of it had to do with the guest house and the story. Nishio is one of many places that is really trying to attract tourists. I was just really surprised at how many attractions that Nishio actually had. It's just about finding them and bringing them to the forefront, so visitors who come to Japan can easily access them. A lot of the things in Nishio was pretty much around that guest house, which I thought was extraordinary. And the city in general, not just the guest house, has done a really good job of attracting people. And because of that episode, the guest house has been completely booked. I think all of this year, it's really hard to get a place to stay there. So I don't know. Direct message me. Maybe I can help you find a place that's closer to Kyoto that might be more, might be easier for you. But without a guide, I think it is a little bit harder. But I introduced most of those places to you anyways. It's just about just going to visit them in the end, if you can't spend the night there. But Nishio's it's certainly worth a visit. Let's see here. Christian writes in here, I'll be staying in Chiba for a few days, and I'm curious what could be interesting day trip options from Chiba. Besides Tokyo Disneyland and Narita, we're very flexible and not worried about distance for the inside of Chiba. Alternative, curious about the Tama region. Yeah, that's where I was. So thank you for that, Christian. So the Tama region is really nice. That I introduced that with a driving episode earlier this year. That's a little bit harder to get out to for day trips. It's kind of makes a lot of sense to spend the night there actually, and then take your time. Just a local train to get out to Western Tokyo takes like a few hours, I would say. I mean, you get there and then you have to get to the next place. So everything is spread out in the West. It's more of a natural place. Okutama might be different. That's a place where a lot of this, there are a lot of stuff around Okutama Station, but and you can rent bicycles when you get to Okutama, which opens up a lot of places that you don't need to have a rent-a-car. Going up to the limestone caves, which actually has a lot more tourists this year than in past years because of the massive heat in the city of Tokyo. The limestone caves is like this naturally cool place inside of a mountain. So they've been experiencing higher levels of tourism at the limestone caves up there near Okutama. So that's certainly worth it. But having a rent-a-car is kind of the way to go. That's sort of the reason why I drove there, but you could do it by train. Inside of Chiba, I did some live streams last year where did I go? Sakura in Chiba. There were a couple of places. There's a samurai town in Chiba, which I thought was a really well worth visit. I think it was called Sakura. Well worth the visit. I walked around there. I visited some of the samurai houses. There were some really cool restaurants as well, some cafes in the area. I was surprised by this. It was recommended to me by friends as well to cover, and I included that in another live stream or video. I can't remember, but I did film Sakura and I did some live streams there. So I think it's worth maybe checking that out. Narita is a place that people do not spend enough time there to see. So Narita, the city, which is close to the airport, certainly worth a visit. And Choshi, some of the best sushi I've ever had was in Choshi City, which is right on the coast of Chiba. That's certainly worth a visit. And if you're coming in March, the Hina Matsuri, which is the doll festival, one of the most famous shrines is in Chiba. And I think they might still display the dolls even outside of it, but it's very famous for the Hina Matsuri. So they have, during the festival, I think it's March 3rd, it's like all dolls. It's really amazing, like 1,000 or 2,000 dolls. I've always wanted to go there for that day. Those are some of the places inside of Chiba, other than like Makuhari, which is famous for the baseball game. But there's also an Aeon Mall and a Costco nearby, which I go to quite a bit. Chiba's got a lot of places to go and see, so definitely worth it. Thank you for that. You can always follow up by direct messaging me. Laura is in the house. Laura will be here really soon. Her son already is in Japan studying at a school in Kochi, and I can't believe he's been there for like a year, right? And Laura has been studying Japanese for quite a while, and we're trying to get her here to move here. A friend of mine is thinking about moving to Japan with her uncle and her daughter. She's a citizen of Poland and the U.S. Her uncle is a citizen of Australia and the U.S., and her daughter is a citizen of Poland and the U.S. She has her own business. Her uncle is retired, and the daughter, I'm already lost here, has a high school diploma. She intends to do an exploratory trip to Japan in early 2026 alone. My friend is 29, 50 plus. She doesn't want anybody to know her age, and her uncle is 50 plus, over 50, and the daughter is 22. The daughter doesn't have any children. Everyone is single. She has her own business here in Ecuador and works online. Uncle's retired. A daughter has worked online, but not anymore. The suggestion I gave my friends was all these three are to attend Japanese language school, apply for a job for the JET program, or yeah, that seems to be and any advice to them. First of all, I think the exploratory trip is almost essential. If you're thinking about moving here, you have to kind of know why you want to live here in Japan. You kind of have to understand the country. And I told you, for maybe for most of the people who actually get to know Japan, after you get to know it, a majority of those people don't really want to live here anymore. And I know this because of all the friends that I have and all the people that I've known over the years, I'm the last man standing. And I've known hundreds and hundreds of people. Somehow I've always been the last man standing. And now all of my friends and all of the people, they're no longer here in Japan. And I get messages from them like, I can't believe you're still there. I'm not going anywhere. I mean, at least I don't have any plans to. But in the end, though, it's such a radically different culture. It really requires, and Laura, you know this because you've been here many times, it really requires a lot of consideration. Like, what do you want to do when you get here? What do you do for your job, for your lifestyle? Where are you going to live? What area of Japan? Japan is so different. We talk about, Japan is, Japan has this, Japan has that. But for me, as someone who's lived here, Japan has 47 prefectures, has all of these regions. And within the prefectures, there are other regions within the prefectures. It's such a diverse and varied place. Finding a place is not so easy. So the exploratory is absolutely necessary. I'm kind of lost in all of this, but you're going to have to come here and experience it for yourself. People talk about it and people have made the move, and you see more videos about foreigners buying Akiya and moving here. But talk to them like 3 years later, maybe most of them aren't here anymore. There's lots of reasons why not to stick around that we don't talk about. And it's some of the challenges I know I faced over my years here. I'm still surprised that I am here. I had a moment 6 years in where I did that hitchhiking trip in 2003, 5 years in, and I didn't know I was going to stay. But it wasn't until I didn't know Japan until I'd done something crazy like hitchhike and get to meet locals and to change up what I knew about Japan. And after that trip, then I decided, until you make, and Laura, this is really important for everybody. If you are thinking about starting a business in Japan, no one is really going to invest in you as a foreigner living in Japan with a business unless you have made the commitment to stay here forever, or at least whoever is investing you believes that. And by investing in you means wanting to be a client of yours. Then no one's going to believe you unless you're going to be here. Why would you build a relationship with someone who's going to leave? So you really, really have to consider what you want to do, what is your long-term plan, and that you are in it to stay. And that's probably my biggest advice that I could say to everyone who is single and has their own business and seems to be an entrepreneur. Unless you're going to be staying in Japan for forever or for a very long time, it's going to be really hard to find anybody to invest in you. You know what I mean? So that would be my biggest advice for this. Chris writes in here, I'll be in Tokyo November 10th to 15th. Where's the best place to see the fall foliage changing of the leaves? Wow, Tohoku. I know it's early for Tokyo, so I don't mind hopping on a train. It might be actually, this year's so hot, I don't think the autumn colors are going to be that good. We noticed this up in Yamagata 2 years ago. The summer was so hot that the autumn colors weren't as vibrant. They were more subdued, more brown and burnt. This year, this July that we went through, was the hottest on record. It was worse than 2 years ago, worse than last year. It's been ridiculously hot. So I'm going to assume that autumn is not going to be as great as in years past. It's still going to be good. It's still autumn, but the colors are certainly not as vibrant. They're darker and it's unpredictable, the season as well right now. It was over before I thought it was going to, when I thought it was going to start last year. 2 years ago when I made the postal episode, the autumn was not as vibrant. It was like I completely missed like the peak of it. So I timed it wrong, or they said it's already finished, or you're gonna miss it. It's that in itself is really hard. So you might time it really well here in Tokyo, but we're not seeing the same type of vibrant colors. The temples and the shrines, even Tohoku, even Hokkaido. Hokkaido has had the warmest July on record. So we're not expecting to have a really spectacular autumn, but it's going to be autumn, so it's going to have some color changes. Um, Typically, we start to see autumn colors around the time, like around the 18th of November, and Kyoto is already packed. This is like high season for Kyoto. It's almost impossible to get a hotel right now for autumn. But there's more hotels now, but tourism numbers are really high. I remember I was a fixer for a Danish TV show. It was DR, Denmark Radio, which is radio. Although it's radio, it's the biggest TV network in Denmark, from what I understand. And they contacted me to help them fix this show, and I said sure. And we had trouble booking hotels around Kyoto. And they had given me 3 weeks notice, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's nothing available. And I found some stuff, but I didn't dig far enough, and 2 of the 4 rooms were smoking rooms, and the Danish team really, they don't smoke, and the 2 that had to stay in the smoking room really suffered because it smelled really bad. But they were the only things that were available. It's not a lot that I could do about it. But I said, well, how flexible are you? Are you willing to drive? So I found 2 hotel rooms in Kobe that were at a 4-star hotel, and they had the budget to move there. And they had cancellations as well, so we got really lucky, and the talent and the cast crews were quite grateful for the change. But there was nothing around Kyoto. We had to go to Kobe and then drive back to Kyoto to film that. So it's something to keep in mind. But the best place is going to be up in Tohoku, or the cooler weather. But I'm going to say places around Tokyo and down here in Honshu are not going to have the same vibrant colors as in years past. Yeah, that's a really tough one. It's too early to tell though, but it looks like it's going to be a tough autumn. Walter, hey John, I went to Japan last November and had an amazing time for 2 weeks. Part of that was due to how I split my trip up into 4 sections. Started in Yokohama, went to Fukuoka for the sumo tournament, went to Osaka for Dotonbori and day trips, and finished in Narita since it was close to the airport I flew in. Can you talk about the importance of pre-planning when a trip to Japan has multiple prefectures involved? Gosh, you packed in a lot of stuff there. Pre-planning is essential. These days, especially because we're going to hit 44 million tourists this year, it's like almost a foregone conclusion. Talk of the mega quake is kind of over, and now Hong Kong and Taiwan and other countries are starting to get off of the suspicion and say, look, it could happen this year, it could happen next year, could happen the year after. You can't predict it, just go. So it looks like we're going to hit those tourism numbers. So I would expect the rest of the year to be quite packed. The reason you need to pre-plan everything, especially your accommodations, far in advance, is because the popular places are going really early. Like Ginzan Onsen, forget about it. It's like if you haven't booked that 6 months in advance, you're going to have to see if you get a cancellation. And even then, it's slim pickings and you have to call. There's some agencies that do this stuff, but a lot of the agencies just don't have access. Some of the ryokan don't. I mean, I had to call on the telephone and make reservations, and there's no fee for canceling because nobody would ever cancel a stay at Notoya Ryokan. So that was old school, but that was 5 years ago. I don't know if it's changed. Pre-planning everything is really important, especially if you want to pack it in. And stuff happens that as you can tell, depending on the season. So if you're coming in typhoon season, and this is such a great, Walter, the ripple effects of a typhoon, you don't see it until you're in it, and then you see it. For example, let's say your flight, you're in Fukuoka and your flight's from Tokyo in the evening, so you decide you're going to get on a Shinkansen and fly there, and take the train there, right? So in 7 hours, and you get to the airport, you have 5 hours to spare. But what happens if a typhoon comes and the Shinkansen service is suspended, and you can't grab a flight to get to Narita or Haneda? You're kind of screwed, all right? The typhoon would also probably delay flights. Now, if it was, let's say the typhoon's going through Hiroshima, you'd have to find a way to get around Hiroshima to get to Tokyo. Flights might be going in and out of Tokyo, but not in Hiroshima. So there's lots of scenarios where things could be really tough between like July 15th and October 15th, which is the meat of the typhoon season, when typhoons could probably hit. We had a really bad typhoon in November. My flight was canceled. This is 2019. It was I think it was Hagibis, right? Or 2018, 2019. It was the year before the pandemic. And I rode Seven Stars, which is a luxury train with Discovery Channel. And when I got there to Fukuoka, guess who was in the waiting lounge for the Seven Stars at Hakata Station in Fukuoka? Tabby Eats, Shinichi, and Satoshi. It was like, holy crap. That's a story. Like, if I ever live stream with them, we got to talk about this. We weren't supposed to film, but we all kind of filmed stuff in there. Discovery Channel said I can bring a friend, so I asked Peter and his wife to come, a way to repay Peter for all the work and favors he's done for me over the years. So he came for this $10,000 per ticket ride. It was pretty incredible. But the day we came back, the day that this trip ended, the typhoon came into Fukuoka, and all trains were going to be canceled. Flights were canceled. We couldn't fly back. Hotels were booked. We couldn't find a hotel. JR was actually helping people because we were on the trip, and it's a luxury train trip. So we get like a liaison who's trying to find us a hotel room, and they couldn't. So they said the best option is for you to take the Shinkansen back to Tokyo. So we got on the absolute last Shinkansen before the typhoon hit. Hagibis, I believe it was. It was a real bad one. And it took 7 hours, but Shinichi, Satoshi, me, Kanai, Peter, and his wife eventually made it back to Tokyo in time. But I'm telling you, like, if those people who were supposed to be on the next Shinkansen, they didn't get out. We got out on the last Shinkansen. We were quite fortunate that the train came in, and we didn't even say in Fukuoka, whoosh, all right, Seven Stars, bye, whoosh, right to the Shinkansen and left and made it back in Tokyo like 7 hours later. It was crazy, but that's what you have to plan for. So pre-planning is important, but when the weather throws a wrench in your plans, that's when everything kind of shuffles and changes, and you have to be ready for that. So for the channel, I have a bunch of stuff. This Nagasaki episode, let me see if I can turn the camera around here. So this is what I'm working on right now. So I've got it. It's all done. The timeline is pretty crazy. This episode is what is it? It's about almost 30 minutes long. And you can see, I'm just gonna scrub through it for you. There's a lot of old footage involved here. I had a guide who was actually involved. Oh, I'm just gonna scrub. So that's kind of the episode there. So it's about 30 minutes long. The interviews were about 2.5 hours long. So there's a lot of interviews. I might eventually publish them with just very little editing. It does need some editing, I think, to be fair to them as well as to the story, right? But yeah, 28 minutes is quite long. I tried to keep the interview shorter, but like, how do you cut an interview that's so important? So I'm gonna have to polish this up. Again, your Peso wrote in something here. No viral hits worth your health. I think it's probably a good idea to get some sleep and then just publish this tomorrow night, which is Monday morning, which is the worst time to publish a video, Monday morning. And maybe I hang on to it until like Monday night. I don't know, just because it doesn't make a lot of sense. But I think as long as it's a few days before Hiroshima, it should be fine. People are going to be talking about this stuff, and I want the videos to do good. And the reason why Peso I might stay up is because this isn't about just me. It's about their story, and I want to do it justice, but I also need to get this out. And it's not that I'm procrastinating, very much the opposite. I've been slaving over the details of it, and you know, UFO Bob took a quick look at this, an early preview of it, and gave me some amazing feedback. So I was able to do all of those changes to fix up the minute 25 to minute 28. Needed a little bit more polishing. The subtitles, my assistant Emmy went over them twice, and we fixed some of the subtitles. We found little errors. We can't have that in the video because, again, I want this to stand the test of time. It's going to be really hard for another YouTuber to do something similar, but that's okay because I think there's a different angle for every YouTuber to do with this topic. I just hope that other YouTubers see this and then they contact the association who will give them access to interview people who were there during the bombing and get another side of the story, which is, I think, so critical. They said that 70% of the people who visit Hiroshima now feel that the bombing was wrong. And I think when you look at just the war, it's hard to make any kind of a judgment because back then, I think you knew that this bomb was a wicked, wicked thing. And I think dropping it again was not a great thing. But there's a lot of other factors that were involved that aren't in the museums. Like, let's say that they didn't drop the bomb. And this is worth an episode to discuss with somebody who's maybe better versed with history than me. But if Japan had not given up, so to speak, or surrendered unconditionally to the United States, there were plans to divvy up Japan into 5 groups. And if Russia had just entered the war, if Russia had taken over Hokkaido, you'd never have gotten that back. So there were lots of reasons, but I think, though, dropping the bomb, just after you watch this story, you might feel the same way too. But when you're in 1945 and you're in the moment and you have to put everything in context, Okinawa was an awful battle. I've read a lot of stuff on the Pacific side of the war. I've read Ian Toll's books. I've gone through the history. It was awful. The battles of Okinawa, the amount of lives that were lost. Imagine, like, you can't imagine invading the mainland. It wasn't even a choice. So if you look back at World War II, there weren't a lot of choices. They just had to end the war fast before Russia got involved. The Soviet Union got involved. Because you think about it, Japan would not be Japan today. You can make that argument if there's no winner here. If the second bomb wasn't dropped, would they have surrendered long enough to keep the Soviet Union out of Japan to make sure that America was part of the reconstruction only? But even, let's say the Soviet Union did come in and they were part of the reconstruction, maybe it wouldn't have been as bad. I don't know, but there's a lot of different scenarios here. It's interesting to talk about. But the bottom line is, after you watch this episode, it's hard for you to side that dropping the bomb had any pros at all, because what it did for not the moment the bomb was dropped, and a lot of the other YouTube channels and the videos you watch on it don't talk about it at all. It was like 40 years before hibakusha were recognized at all. And if they admitted they were hibakusha, the discrimination was awful. That's Japanese society, and that's the part, Laura, that I think a lot of people don't understand. There's another part of Japanese society that's unwritten and unseen, a societal pressure where you feel emotionally, spiritually in a vice. And I feel this pressure because I've been here for a long time, but certainly not the same as a Japanese person, but I do feel it. Peter, I'm severely visually impaired. I absolutely need a guide for the atomic bomb memorial in Nagasaki. Peter, send me a message about this on Patreon. I can give you the information to contact Mac. Mac was my guide. He's an incredible guy, and you might have to get a taxi. It's not a lot of money to get a taxi, but you might have to get a taxi, and he'll go with you. I don't think he can drive. He might have taken a train home. I drove him to where he caught a bus or a tram. but I had to rent a car. But he got in my car for a couple of the places to go to the cathedral, Urakami Cathedral. But I'll give you his information. Super nice guy, speaks English real good because he lived in the U.S. He's not originally from Nagasaki as a child, but he moved to Nagasaki when he was a child, and his mother took him to the Urakami Cathedral when it was being reconstructed. So there's a picture of him as a kid with the ruins of Urakami Cathedral. So he wasn't in Nagasaki as a hibakusha, but he's connected with the city of Nagasaki, and he was a great guide. So I'll put you in touch with Mac, of course, and he's in the episode, so I'm sure he's going to contact me soon, Peter, because he's going to be probably booked after this, because I'll be promoting, Mac as well. I give him a glowing review, but I'll take care of you, Peter. We'll make sure you can get a good guide. As someone who visited both Hiroshima and Nagasaki, I don't necessarily, this is from Peso, had my mind changed about hindsight, but I do think the human side effects weren't really predicted by the Americans. I don't think they thought about the effects, but not as deeply as the human living side of it. But that's the army, and that's any military in the world doesn't really think about at that time the effects post-traumatic, PTSD, for example. Military throws the boys into war, they come back, everybody's kind of mentally messed, they have a way to solve this kind of stuff. So the military never really thought deeply about the mental side, the physical side, the long-term side of this. It was just about the bomb, the after effects of what happened right there, not that this was actually a generational issue for a lot of the people that survived were really messed up. There's a term called second generation survivor. They weren't even alive during the bomb. They were just an offspring of a survivor. And a lot of those people got leukemia and other sorts of physical disabilities that some of them you can't see. And there's third generation hibakusha where even that is passed on to the next generation. So we really don't even know what fully the impact was of people who survived the bomb, the radiation that happened. I'll talk about this in the episode, which I'll release tomorrow. Peso, I'm gonna have to listen to you because I have to listen to my body. I'm gonna still do a little bit of work tonight, but I'll go to bed and then take Leo to school and then get back to work on this. It's just, I feel kind of good that the thumbnail is good. What do you guys think about it? It reminds me, I like this. I was there. It reminds me a little bit of the Hiroshima one I did with Sasahara-san, but I had to change that thumbnail like 3-4 times to get to where I am with that. And Peter, you got the message here. Thank you. Please keep in touch on Patreon and I'll take care of you. Because you're taking care of me. Peter's like family, so you're taking care of me, so I'm going to take care of you. So we're going to make sure you have a good trip here. Absolutely. I got contacted. So today was a really, really tough day. All right. And again, like I always, when I go through these tough days, and many of you have been supporting me for years, I've gone through some of them, just trying to get the Blu-ray for the hitchhiking thing. I got slammed during the years when I was going through that. My first Kickstarter was really challenging, but I just kept chipping away at it. We got it done. A lot of challenges, but those are some of the worst times, some of the challenges I went through in those years, and then losing the channel and having restart and all of that is really bad. But when you see somebody go down, a family member, nothing compares to that. And I get a message from Suede, family is family, and when something like that happens and somebody collapses, you start thinking, is it a stroke, is it a heart attack, is it cancer? You start thinking the worst possible thing. So luckily it was just dehydration, exhaustion, working a lot, and not any fault of our own. Just we haven't been getting a lot of sleep lately because of the jet lag, but more so because if Leo wakes up at 3:50 or 4 o'clock, one of us is playing with him until, when we should be awake, and then another one is playing us in the evening and maybe trying to get some sleep, but neither of us are are sleeping. So it was maybe a good thing, right? In the end, you have to look at the positives of it, and that's how I do. A friend of mine sent me this. All right, and this is I'm gonna do this episode tomorrow. It's just kind of funny, just for fun. I'm gonna do a short live stream tomorrow based on this. I don't have to do too much about it, but this is going super viral right now. I think Araki Saori and Peso. I want to, if you have some time, check this out. Okay, this is her. I think this was Instagram. Her Twitter post went super viral. So she made this pose. And I've been kind of tracking this back. A friend of mine asked me, why is this going super viral? And I go, I don't know. So I dug into it. And apparently, it's kind of, somebody made this post here, which way Western men? And it got viewed like 16 million times. And he's asking like, because right now this Sydney Sweeney thing with her jeans is going super viral. Because there's half the population is super touchy, half the population is not, I suppose, and the commercial was controversial to a certain percentage of people, and it wasn't to the others. And the thing with controversy is it's like a win-win for American Eagle. Their stock went up when they didn't apologize. So, however you feel about that, there you go. But putting that aside, it's taking the controversy and then putting this next to a photo that apparently this person found that was shared of somebody who didn't really have a massive following on Twitter and Instagram, now is starting to get a massive following on Twitter and Instagram. And this is really funny. So I might talk about this tomorrow and ask people like which way. But yeah, Pesa, if you want to, you can kind of track and see why did this post go super viral. And I think it had to do with this post. And then people tracking it back and then following this, holding the clipboard, being real cute, and then having that puffy face, I guess, that you get from these freshmen going to college. She's an actress, so she's really good at doing these kinds of poses, I suppose, and a model in a way. Everybody who's an actress here in Japan, unless they're like really pro into it, is also a model as well on the side. So her account has really seen a lot of activity, but it's an interesting contrast between beauty and cuteness. And I'll talk about this tomorrow in the live stream. But when I first came to, Labubu craze has taken over Japanese society. I don't think so. I don't see anything interesting with that. But I'm not in that circle of collecting stuff. I don't have any space to collect stuff. I don't really care about collecting stuff, so I'm not into a collector's thing. It might be interesting to have Patrick or Matt Alt do a live stream with me and talk about that. They would know a lot more. And Matt's not doing much on YouTube right now. He's more focused on writing his book. So we can see if maybe he would meet up with me next week, and we could do a quick live stream on this Labubu craze thing. Matt would be the guy to talk to, but I want to meet up with Patrick. I've been away for a while, so I want to meet up with my friends after I publish this Nagasaki video, and kind of, as you suggest, rest and kind of recover a little bit, and then get back into focusing on the main channel, because now we're seeing the live streaming channel and the main channel. The main channel is starting to pass the live streaming channel now. And I said when that occurs, I'm going to put a lot more into the main channel once this occurs. And it's here now. It's crazy. A lot of the subscribers over the last month has come from one reel on YouTube that went super viral. I think it's got 4 million views on the main channel, on the Square Watermelon. It was getting like 70-30 click-through rate, like swipe rate, and then all of a sudden it went to 98-2, just because it was suggested to people outside of the subscriber base. Because subscribers have already watched the video, they're going to swipe away because they've already watched the video. So YouTube's algorithm is kind of messed up. Instagram's is so much better, because YouTube's algorithm for people who make long-form content doesn't take into consideration that, oh, this short has probably been already seen by his audience. They're going to swipe away because they already have seen it. So somehow when it got away from my audience, the audience that watched it, everybody watched it until the end. It's got like 117% watch time because it was looped, and the swipe away rate is only 2%. It's crazy. It's earned $400, which is a lot for a reel. So I don't know if I'm gonna do more reels. More shorts, but I'll do more reels and just throw them on the shorts. But the shorts don't do well, but the reels do really well. So I don't know. I'm gonna focus on the main channel more coming up this summer, but I'll still be doing live streams, but probably more here as a podcast, right? Because I got, see here, you can see I got like everything set up. There's a light and a microphone and all this stuff here. So I'm ready. Did you make a reel from the gift wrapping? I did. It didn't do too well on YouTube. A lot of the reels I thought would be killer on YouTube didn't do so well. So yeah, I don't know. That's all I pretty much got. We'll talk a little bit more about on the channel. I'll try to do more of these Q&As. We didn't do them on Patreon because we didn't get a lot of people watching them. Like, we never got feedback. So I'm trying to find a way to do these Q&A, which are more shorter, more to the point, but also more interesting for people to watch live. Because, like, I think we have 3 or 4 people watching now. So it's different, right? Or maybe just pre-recorded and upload the responses to the questions and keep it shorter. Because I do the live streams, we get off course and they end up being like an hour long. And, you know, it's a little long. But I like to talk and hang out, so that's it. All right, so there you go. Thanks for the questions. I'll try to do more Q&A for Patreon supporters. We have... most of these Q&As are going to be for the Samurai supporters, so we do have a welcome supporter, so I'm going to try to keep the perks for the Samurai and the Postcard Club members. I hope that you enjoyed the postcards that came from Mount Fuji. They all pretty much arrived by now. I gotta tell you though, like, it is a little bit fun to do something crazy, to travel to the other side of the country or to the highest point of the country and send a postcard for no other reason just to send a postcard. So I made an episode out of it. I'm glad that Japan Post worked with me, but I'm asking Japan Post if I can ride the bulldozer one more time to watch them close the post office and then ride back with them. And then I don't think I'm going to be able to get the episode because they closed Mount Fuji in 17 days, right? The trail or the post office closes August 20th. So I'm like, well, why don't I just go up there and let's just finish off this story. I want to see them close up for the year and just put this to rest, or follow the vending machines down. Because the one thing I couldn't do was to film the vending machines. And then get this. All right, I'm going to end with this. I just got a message. I didn't see it because it was in my spam folder from Dan. And he climbed Mount Fuji like, I don't know, when did he say this? Like in the 1990s or something. And he says he gave me a longitude and a latitude, and he said that he buried a trinket there. He said here, I'm never going to go back and climb to the summit of Mount Fuji, but if you go to this latitude and this longitude, I buried something there, and it's yours if you go there. I'm like, I wish I'd seen this message because it's like not that far away from the lodge I was staying at, but I'm kind of curious. So, anyways, if the post office is cool with it, I'll go back up on the bulldozer. I'll film them turning down, and then I'll come back with them on the bulldozer. It's 3 hours up, 3 hours down, and I get to go to the summit again. So it's going to be a pretty good episode. I don't know if it'll go viral, but it's going to be a pretty good episode, the Mount Fuji one. Because nobody's done anything like this. Everybody climbs it and does some guide or tell you why it's so bad or why it's so good. Or their experience. Nah, this is a totally different perspective. It's all about like how Mount Fuji runs and the importance of that bulldozer, which is run by a cement company, and it was really hard to get the permit. I had to convince them. I don't think another YouTuber could convince them. I had to convince them using like NHK and all my experience and send them stuff. And my assistant, who's very persuasive, got the CEO to say yes, but with conditions. So it's going to be a good episode. Stuff that I think normal YouTubers probably could not do, but that's what we do here. Thanks also for being real understanding with this episode. I haven't released a video in a very long time. I think this one is going to be worth it, but after this it should be a free flow. But I had to focus. I kept shifting gears and had to focus on this, and I was traveling, and then I get back on this one, and then I travel again to film something, and then there's a huge queue of videos now to film, and I'm gonna get in trouble unless I start to get some of these out now. But the Nagasaki was a very hard deadline before the memorial, which is in like a week, less than a week now. So I think we're gonna hit that target because this is gonna come out tomorrow. With that said, Peso, I can now go to bed. 45 minutes is pretty good. Thanks for the questions and support, guys. Patreon's packages went out about 3 days ago, so the notification should be there. And the postcards for this month will go out next week, most likely. Matane oyasumi. Another day starts tomorrow, or actually now, because it's 10 minutes to midnight. Oyasumi nasai.